pocket and let's see if we can find some red wigglers.
Now, why would you put red wigglers in there with the other, whatever they were?
Actually, we shouldn't mix them. You should keep one population of worms in a worm bin together. And I just like the shape and the length of those great big night crawlers that we put in there with the kids. So we'll put a bunch of them in there together and separate them later.
And you just pull these worms? These aren't special worms. No, I mean, these are just worms out of the garden.
Went to the garden, collected them out of the dirt up there. Now, that's enough for this particular one here, kids, because these worms, you can't put too many. Can't put too many in there because...
What about the food, Daddy?
Well, that's a good idea. What would you feed worms?
I'll get it. Put in the food.
Okay, what's in there?
What do you feed worms? Anybody here know?
Lettuce.
What's in there? Lettuce? What else do you think you feed worms? Crackers? You think they eat crackers?
No.
Any special kind? No? Apple peels are good. So what we're doing here is making a kitchen compost.
Well, thinking of that, hey kids, how would y'all like to make a bin that you could put underneath your kitchen sink? And every day after you have a meal, you can put all your garbage in there. And we could put our lettuce and our crackers and our chips and things like that into this bin underneath our sink. And wouldn't that work real well?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, well, let's do that then.
If I can find any more of the blue one.
Sure, as soon as we put some more newspaper in this kitchen bin.
So now you're starting with a kitchen bin, something that's a little more practical.
Right.
Now we need big strips.
Now, tell me one thing before we go any further. When you put a worm compost, this is the question I know all of you want to know. When you put a worm composter underneath your kitchen,
no smell.
The worms don't smell?
No. Worms have
and
no
the worms
smell.
don't come out of the box?
No, they don't come out because
You're sure?
They want to be where it's moist and where there's food. Like any animal, they stay where they're comfortable. And so
do you realize how dangerous it is? There are people all over the country who are going to be watching the show, and Walter, I'm giving them your phone number when the worms come out of the box.
The worms will stay in the box. There will be no smells. The temperature underneath the kitchen sink is perfect, too. It does not need to be very warm underneath the sink. They would prefer in the 60s and low 70s, I guess, for the worms to grow in.
So how much garbage can a worm box underneath your sink gobble up?
Generally, the size that I have right here would take the output of one person. And so if we really want to take care of a family of 4, you need a box that's usually about 1 foot deep, 2 feet wide, 3 feet long. 1, 2, 3. That's how big it can take care of a family of 4.
Wow. That's a lot of worms. And then how many worms are in there?
Well, if you put in just a couple hundred to begin with, then you get a couple thousand after a month or two when you feed them real good.
Daddy, we need some water.
You need some water in there? All right, let's put some water in.
You can tell Gray's your son.
I think he has learned how to do worms before.
Okay, can I dump these in there?
Stuff. Sure.
You can mix that up too?
We're going to mix all this stuff up.
Okay, all the hands are in there.
Now, I didn't want you to stick your ice pick through this plastic bin here, Lynette. Let's turn it around a little bit. You can see that we cut some holes in the bottom of this bin right here. A little aeration, a little bit of screen over that in case the escaping worms.
There had to be a trick. We have screen over the hole.
Right, we'll put that right there. One on the back. Sure, there's worms on the back, or there's holes on the back right there. But now, the favorite part, kids, we need to add worms there. Yay! It's time to...
I get to add the blues again.
Oh, I've got a question.
Whoa, don't pull at him. He's coming out of there. Here, let's tip this up.
Let's be
because I think everybody in the audience would just sort of love to see what's going on in this worm pot.
Now, I want Taylor to bring out...
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dump this right onto my hands. We're going to see how brave I am.
You think Lynette will scream?
Yeah. No, you know why? Because I go fishing.
She knows about worms.
I know about worms. Ooh! A whole messy mess of them. Ooh! How are we doing there? Okay, Walter, we got the worms in the pot. Now what?
Close it up. We put the food in. We know what kind of food is to put in there. We close it up. We've got a worm composting bin under our kitchen sink.
And 3 happy kids on a rainy day.
Right.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Hey, hey.